that everything that you need to understand about the industry is in one set. So by the time you're leaving this particular venue, you should have picked a thing or two as far as the leather and textile industry is concerned. Thank you so much, everyone. Kindly, as we continue to take our seats, I once again welcome you to this event, and of course there'll be a lot of issues that will be happening today. I'd like to recognize our guests who are here with us, and of course we start with our chief guest, who is the Principal Secretary for the State Department of Industry in the Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry. That is Dr. Juma Mukhwana. We also have Mr. Alexander Von Fele, who is the Deputy Head of Mission, German Embassy. Thank you so much for making time. And also Mr. Nicholas Mudungwe, who is the Executive Director, Africa Leather and Leather Products Institute, ALPI. Thank you so much for coming. And of course, Ms. Tally Einav, who is the United Nations Industrial Development Organization Head Office Representative to Kenya, Comoros, Eritrea, Seychelles, and South Sudan. Thank you so much for coming. We also have Mr. Richard Davis, who is the Textiles and Apparel Deputy Director, Gasby Africa. Thank you so much. All right, with that, because we are a little bit running short of time, I hope that doesn't speak of African nature, but 30 minutes after we are supposed to have started this particular schedule, I want to start by welcoming, of course, our organizer here, who is the Mr. Skander Negasi, who is the CEO of Trade and Fairs Group, Germany, and the organizer of ASFW for the opening speeches of this particular event. Thank you so much, and welcome to the stage, sir.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good to see all of you here at the 4th Africa Sourcing and Fashion Week. We are so proud having everyone here. And especially our Dr. Juma, the PS of the Ministry of Industry and Trade, our friends from the German Embassy, Mr. Vierlei. We have Alpi here, our director, Mr. Nicholas, UNIDO Representative, Madame Tally. We have our excellent the Ethiopian ambassador on board, Alpi, which is also representative, Madame Berkenesh, who has worked so much, and also our valued partner from ITC, Madame Clement, Delphine Clement. Thanks so much for being here. So, Excellencies, dear partners, distinguished guests, I can't see my paper because this one is so. Distinguished guests, esteemed exhibitors, industry leaders, government representatives, and all participants, it's my honor and great pleasure to welcome you to all this textile and the leather expo right here in the heart of Kenya. Today we stand in a pivotal moment in the African textile and leather industry, an industry rich in heritage, creativity, and potential. Across the continent, textiles and leather goods are not just products. They are cultural impressions, sources of national pride, and engines of economic growth. In Kenya and throughout Africa, the sector is playing an increasingly critical role in employment creation. It provides jobs to millions, especially women and youth, across the value chain, from cotton farming and tanning to manufacturing and fashion design. It's a space where tradition meets innovation and where opportunity is being woven into every fiber. The global market is recognizing the unique quality and craftsmanship of African materials and designs. Major players are not only sourcing from Africa, they are also investing in Africa's supply chain, working with the African artisans and helping bring African fashion to runways around the world. The government of Kenya has taken bold and proactive steps to support this vital industry through initiatives such as Buy Kenya, Build Kenya policy, the revival of cotton ginneries, the establishment of special economic zones, and the support for local tanneries and textile mills. Kenya is building a strong foundation for the sustained growth. These efforts are aimed not only to boosting exports, but also at encouraging domestic consumption and value chain, which is very important. We should never think of export only. We have to make sure that there is a good market in the country and also inside Africa, which is the intra-Africa trade. This expo is more than just an exhibition. It is a celebration of innovation, collaboration, and the limitless of possibilities that lies ahead. The global textile and leather market is recognizing ASFW's important position as the leading meeting platform within Africa's textile and leather industry. In addition, we are witnessing growing interest and collaboration from international fashion brands. ASFW's success lies in the teamwork, cooperation, and fruitful partnership. I would therefore like to thank the following important partners, which are strong pillars of the event, as well as the textile and leather industry in the region. Of course, the government of Kenya, including the Ministry of Industry and Trade, as well as the EPZA, the K Program, and the Ken Invest. A special thanks, of course, goes to Dr. Juma Mukhwana, who has been a great supporter of the ASFW Nairobi since day one. And then we have the ITC, the International Trade Center, who has become Africa's or ASFW's strong pillar, promoting East African textile and the leather industry, especially the manufacturers and designers. So we appreciate their partnership and your partnership, Delphine, and network and the expertise within this sector. It's not only about exhibitions, also about expertise that our partners are bringing into this value chain. And of course, we have our GIZ Ethiopia, which is a co-founder of the first ASFW brand, Addis Ababa. This took place 11 years ago. So we are celebrating this year at the 11th edition of the ASFW Ethiopia, and we are proud to have him there, and we are therefore thankful to have our ambassador, Ethiopian ambassador, visiting this event. Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for being here. And then we have the Gatsby Africa, who's supporting the ASFW Nairobi with our Kenyan exhibiting companies and foreign trade buyers and investors. And we are also grateful for their insights and the expertise in the textile sector. Therefore, thanks so much, Michael and Richard and Joseph for being our anchor here at this event. Last but not least, we have our very valued partner, which is ALPI, the African Leather and Leather Product Institute based in Addis Ababa, for supporting us with not only the exhibition, but also the expertise and all activities in the leather value chain. Without you guys, life in the leather sector would be half as beautiful as it is today. Thank you so much for all your support, Nicolas, Madame Birkenesh, and also Preston is somewhere here. Thank you so much. So I invite you all to explore and connect and be inspired over the coming days. Together, let us stitch the future that is vibrant, inclusive, and proudly African. Thank you and welcome to the African Sourcing Fashion Week Nairobi. Thank you. Back to you, Brian.
Right, a round of applause for Mr. Skander, kindly. Of course, he managed to keep time because I'd given him 15 minutes, but he worked under those particular minutes because we are rushing with time here. All right, next on stage, I do want to welcome Mr. Richard Davis, who is the Textiles and Apparel Deputy Director at Gatsby Africa. Kindly.
Thank you, Skander, and very well welcome to everybody from Gatsby Africa. It's a great pleasure to be here, and it's very, very nice to see everybody participating in this event today. Gatsby Africa, I'll just explain a little bit about us for those people who don't know who we are. Gatsby Africa are a charitable organisation. We're funded by Lord David Sainsbury from the UK. We work in several sectors as Gatsby Africa, one of which is the textiles and apparel sector, of which myself and my colleagues are here today. and working very closely with Skander and his team to organise this event. So I'd like to just make a few notices, a few welcomes. My colleagues will be here. We have a lounge. I'd like to just introduce Mr. Michael Mathika, who is our Programme Director, Joseph Ngari, Anne Wame and Kenneth Williams. They'll all be here during the event in the 3 days. So if anybody would like to learn more about Gatsby Africa, please approach these guys. They'll be more than happy to welcome you and talk about what the work Gatsby Africa do. We're a not-for-profits organisation, but we prefer to call ourselves an impact organisation. Our services are free, and as such we pride ourselves in being honest, agnostic, knowledgeable and informed within the sectors that we work in. The Textile and Apparel programme, there's a wealth of knowledge, not just in East Africa, but in the world. So we've some of my colleagues have been in this industry for a long time, and they've worked in several countries. We work with many brands, and we've been investors ourselves, so we understand the industry. Our work takes us across pretty much all the value chain. We work with brands, we work with the vendors, we work with supply chain, we work with the SMEs within the region. We work with the government. That work is led by Michael and Anne. We work and help them, guide them where we can, with policies and trying to make the textile and apparel industry within the East Africa region, and Kenya in particular, a thriving hub for future potential brands and vendors, etc. I'd just like to do a few call-outs. I'd like to thank Skander and his team for organising this event. These events are extremely important so that people can network and meet people. We know that people within the same country don't know each other. They don't know the opportunities. They don't know who's doing what. And it's amazing when guys suddenly see a packaging firm or an elastics firm that they didn't know about, and then they start to off-take. So we're here to join the dots. We know pretty much anybody and everybody within the East African region, that region being Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania. And finally, I'd like to thank the brands. Without the brands, we wouldn't have an industry. There are some brands here today who've never been to Kenya. From the UK, we have some brands from Europe who are looking at opportunities. So please try and approach these guys. And the vendors, we have some international vendors who are also looking for opportunities to come and place capacity or indeed set up greenfield sites and manufacture out of Kenya. So we look forward to you guys placing POs very quickly. I know there's many people who want to meet you. So thank you very much.
Another round of applause for Richard Davis there. Thank you so much, sir. And of course, like he said, it is a place for you to network and meet people. So by the time we are done with this particular event for the next 3 days, ensure that you have good networks that will work for you as far as this industry is concerned. Now, there's a gender conversation happening in the country. I'd just like to say, we have a female speaker here, because you might have seen me introduce several other people and assume that maybe you don't have a female speaker. So for the issue of the two-third gender rule, I'd like to welcome Ms. Tally Einav, who is the United Nations Industrial Development Organization Head Office Representative to Kenya, Comoros, Eritrea, Seychelles, and South Sudan. Kindly.
must be really big to represent 2/3 in the panel. And I also noticed I was the only woman, although we have so many women here. Leather and textile are a way to promote women, and I hope that for next year, please Skander, we can have more women. So the men will be the ones standing out. Thank you for organizing this amazing event. I'm extremely happy to be here today. UNIDO is the United Nations Industrial Development Organization. We work extensively in leather and apparel, not yet in Kenya, but we're working on it. But we have worked together in Ethiopia. We work in other countries, developing and develop. And we bring a lot of the knowledge we collected in all those countries. And to be short on time, so we can catch up with a slight delay, I would just like to point out that for leather we have a website called leatherpanel.org that I encourage everyone who's in leather to find out what we do, which knowledge, equipment and connections you can make to all the countries we work with. We work a lot with South-South cooperation and with Germany, which I hope the project we'll have here will be together. And we look at the value chain even wider than my friend Richard from Gatsby here identified, because to have good leather, we need to have good cows that are well fed. And we need to have processing and make use of the tanneries. And let us not forget that without a market, all of those activities are useless. So I think let's look at the market first, at all the people exhibiting here, and listen to them also on what they struggle with and what the development partners, and especially the government, and I'm happy my friend, the PS, is here to speak, to give us a keynote speech soon. Because the government has a lot to support the businesses. The businesses are the backbone of every economy in any sector, and especially in leather and apparel. I will stop here, but I encourage you all to stop me when I go around and visit your booths, and I encourage women to come up and speak more, please, and youth. So if I'm the woman, you're the youth, right? The world belongs to us. Thank you.
Yes. Another round of applause, kindly. And yes, we'll be talking about close to 150 exhibitors from 30 plus countries, and of course, just potential of what the continent and the global space has to offer as far as this industry is concerned. So you walk around, I'm sure you've been able to see what the continent and the globe has to offer as far as this industry is concerned. Next on stage, I'd like to welcome Mr. Nicholas Mudungwe, who is the Executive Director, Africa Leather and Leather Products Institute. Kindly clap for him.
Jambo. I understand we have the ambassador of Ethiopia. Denaderajo. Okay. My name is Nicholas Mudungwe. I represent Africa Leather and Leather Products Institute, which is an organization based in Addis Ababa. Our mandate is to support the development of the leather value chain, from policy, strategies, capacity building, and market connection. And the market is the most critical element. And when we look at Africa, the market for leather products is growing. Footwear per capita in Africa in 2011 was 0.85, but now it is now 1.57, meaning the demand for footwear in Africa is rising. And the future for footwear, garments consumption is in Africa, because the younger the demographics, the higher the demand of footwear and garments. So the whole world is looking to sell to Africa. So it is an opportunity for us as Africa to produce for the continent. I will share with you some challenging or a gap that I see in Africa, and a gap that should challenge every person in this room, and he say, what is my contribution to this problem and how can I solve it? 20% of the land mass globally is Africa. 19% of global population is Africa. And what is Africa's contribution to the global GDP? Is less than 20%. Is around 3%, meaning we have a loss of 17%. So if global GDP by 2022 was around 90 million, if Africa landmass is 20%, it means give and take, Africa should be around 15 trillion, but we are far below that number. It means as Africa, we are not fully utilizing the resources that we have. When you look at the engine of economic transformation, which is manufacturing sector, Africa contribution to global is 1.9%, meaning as Africa we have not yet started. So we are so excited that our leadership here, the PS, Dr. Juma, is a guy who has confidence in the development for Africa. And you will hear him when he speaks. And we also have our partners, United Nations, German Embassy, EU, that are supporting us. Gatsby, let us work together for the good of the continent. Currently, Africa, we have a problem. A lot of people are taking risks to jump on small boats to cross to Europe. And they are crossing to Europe to seek employment. But if we create jobs here in Africa, there will be no incentive for anyone to take that kind of a risk. So the ball is in our court, ladies and gentlemen. When you look at the leather industry, the supply potential of Africa is 25% of livestock, but the production of leather and leather products, including footwear, is less than 3%. So you see that gap. So once you know your problem, it is a problem you have solved. What we want to do now is to work together to close that gap. 4 weeks ago, Dr. Juma launched the Comesa leather value chain strategy at Hyatt, not far away from here. And the overall goal of that strategy of 21 African countries is to transform the sector from production and trade in raw materials to the production and trade of value-added products. And this kind of forum, organized by my brother, Mr. Skander there, is critical to connect the producers to the market. It is easy to train someone to make a shoe, but it's very complicated to sell a shoe. So the work of market connection is very, very, very important, and we want to appreciate you. Thank you.
Sorry.
And of course, things to note from that particular speech, markets. And as a continent, you're not fully utilizing the resources that we have. Of course, this particular conversations is what is going to help us also create jobs in Africa so that we prevent people from, labor migration and all that, which is very, very important. And that's why the conversations that we'll be having here today will be focused around that, to try and find solutions and look at the challenges that we are facing as an industry and how do we navigate those particular challenges. Very important. Next on stage, I want to welcome Mr. Alexander Vonfeli, who is the Deputy Head of Mission, German Embassy. Kindly a round of applause as he comes on stage.
Good morning all together. It's a great honor to be here today in the presence of the Honorable Dr. Juma Mukhwana, Principal Secretary for Industry. We have had many talks also about the textile and leather industry. I'm happy that you're here today. My friend Tally Einav, who is my neighbor actually here in Nairobi. We also have talked a lot about the textile industry and other things. The Ethiopian ambassador, all the other honorable guests that are here today. It's a great pleasure to be with you for the opening of this important Fashion Week. And first of all, I would like to say a big thank you to Skander Negasi, who and his team, of course, from Germany, who are so active in the German and European African relations. He has also organized the Made in Germany Africa exhibition, which will be in June here in Africa. As you have not promoted it, I have to do it actually. And many other exhibitions in the past, and I think also in the future. So you're a steadfast promoter of German-African relations, and I think this is very important, and I think he has deserved a big applause. Ladies and gentlemen, we know that the apparel and textile industry and the leather industry is very important for Africa, and in particular also for Kenya. And we know also that times have become very unpredictable at the moment in the international trade, and this is true in particular also for the textile industry. All the more, I think it is important, and I've just been looking a little bit into the numbers, how big the trade within Africa has grown in the past years, and also between Africa and Europe. And I think this inter-Africa trade is very important, and we have to see how we can actually promote that even more in the future. It needs, of course, big investments in infrastructure. I think that is one of the biggest impediments of trade within Africa, and it needs political stability and a conducive regulatory framework for companies that invest in African countries. Last year, the European Union has signed the Economic Partnership Agreement with Kenya, and I think this could also be a pattern, and it is a pattern for many other free trade agreements between African countries and the European Union. And it actually unlocks a market of 500 million consumers. That's huge. The European Union is the second largest economic bloc in the world, and with very tight relations to Africa. And I think we should further promote this trade relation. And the European Union and Germany, as part of the European Union, we want to be a reliable partner, a reliable trade partner, a reliable investment partner to Africa. We have been that for the past 60 and more years, and I think the recent development showed how much we actually honor this partnership with our southern neighbors. And we see it also here in Kenya. The EU will carry out the EU-Kenya Business Forum on the 12th and 13th of May, which will bring together about 1,000 participants from the European Union and from Kenya. And the EU Commissioner for Trade, Maroš Šefčovič, will also come to further promote the relations. And we had, as the German government, the German African Business Forum here last December with our Vice Chancellor and Minister for Economic Affairs, Dr. Robert Habeck. And I think that was also a sign of our very good relationship. So we are ready to promote African-European trade. We are also ready, and GIZ is very much working on that on behalf of the German government to promote inter-African trade, and I think these are good perspectives for the apparel and textile industry in Africa. So congratulations again to this great fair, and yeah, all the best for the next few days and good business talks. Thank you.
Before he leaves the stage, and of course I'd like us to stand as Alexander welcomes our guest speaker today, who is our chief guest today. Kindly.
So Honorable Dr. Mukhwana, you're invited to take over.
Let's be seated, please. Thank you.
Let's be seated. Okay, you are fine.
Okay, thank you so much. Let me start by thanking all of you for coming. Davis from Gatsby, my brother Nicholas from the African Leather and Leather Products Institute. My sister Tally, we are actually twin brothers, brother and sister from UNIDO. Negasi, Skander, last year we were here, and your team for putting all this together. Alexander, I think is my elder brother, the ambassador of Ethiopia, of Kenya from Ethiopia, and all of you, good afternoon. Last year we were here and we were just about half of what we have today. So today we have grown by 50%. And that shows the interest that we all have in this event. And so it's with great pleasure that I welcome you to the 4th Africa Sourcing and Fashion Week, a platform where creativity meets commerce. So today we gather not just to celebrate the vibrant fashion, textile and leather industries across Africa, but also to explore pathways that will shape their future in alignment with this year's theme, which is unleashing the power of sustainable innovation in the textile and leather value chains. The Africa Sourcing and Fashion Week comes at a time when the global fashion and textile industry is undergoing a remarkable shift, and we all know about the new tariffs and the new relationships that we have to build. And again, we also, as we look at the changing dynamics of this sector, we are reminded about issues about sustainability, about equity, innovation, and deeper regional collaboration that will bring our innovations, our talents, our skills to bear. So Kenya stands ready and committed to playing a central role in this transformation as Nairobi welcomes close to 3,000 stakeholders from across the globe, convening to network, to learn, and more importantly, to do business. The global fashion industry is increasingly looking towards Africa, not just as a market, but as a source of creativity, culture, and circular innovation. So you know that here in Africa, our textile, our leather is really very much part of our intrinsic culture that embodies our humanity. According to McKinsey, Africa's fashion and apparel market is projected to be worth about 31 billion by 2026, and our leather industry, with the right investments, could generate over 200,000 jobs continent-wide and inject billions into our GDP annually. Our vision is clear. As Kenya, ours is to position Kenya and Africa as a competitive, responsible, and innovative hub for textile, apparel, and leather production. Through favorable policies, strategic partnerships, and an enabling environment, we are working to unlock the immense potential of this sector to drive industrial growth, create decent jobs, and empower our communities, particularly the youth and women, who are also the majority among us. A key driver in Kenya for the apparels are our incentivized zones, such as the export processing zone, the special economic zones, and these zones offer strategic advantages such as reduced costs of production, making business more competitive in both regional and global markets. Notably, the government sector stands as the leading contributor to Kenya's EPZ program, accounting for 76% of our employment, 50% of our EPZ exports, 28% of total EPZ investment value. Currently, there are over 41 apparel companies operating within EPZs, showcasing Kenya's growing footprint in the apparel manufacturing sector. This year's conference, ladies and gentlemen, whose theme we have already noted, underscores some of the most pressing opportunities and challenges of our time, and we hope that we can address these issues as we look around and as we discuss. One is about sustainable sourcing and ethical production. Two is about leveraging the Africa Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA, which you all know is supposed to come to an end in September, and Kenya, working with the rest of the EU, the AU, African Union, has already engaged the US government about extension of AGOA for another 16 years, and so that's an area that we are already in close discussion. Turning waste into value in the leather industry, protecting the intellectual and creative capital of African designers, and we also know that one of the areas that we need to invest in as we try to source is to impart more skills in fashion and design. We can see that for Kenya and for Africa to tap into the global fashion market, there is that gap. And I have my brother from Germany here, Skander. Let's do more about investing in design, in fashion. I think we need fashion skills, schools where we can hone our. So we have a lot of creative ideas, but we are lacking institutions to really grow that area. Empowering women through African textile and leather industries, and also the role of sustainable energy and green manufacturing, which Kenya has played a very, very big role after hosting the African Conference on Sustainable Energy. These are not just industry issues, ladies and gentlemen, they are national and continental imperatives. They speak to how we will shape our economic future, define our place in global trade, and preserve the cultural richness that makes African fashion so unique and powerful. In recent years, we have made significant strides in shaping a bold, inclusive, and sustainable path for industrial development. I am proud to highlight the recent press briefing where Kenya has already completed the Kenya cotton, textile, and apparel policy, and this is already going to the cabinet, which outlines a clear roadmap to revive and scale up the entire value chain from seed to stitch. We are looking at backward linkages. A lot of the 41 textile factories that we have talked about are importing a lot of dyes and apparel and so on. And as government, we are working towards creating more backward linkages within the textile sector. And towards this end, over the last 3 years, we have been involved in increasing cotton production. In 2021, we only had about 5,000 acres of cotton being grown. By the end of last year, 2024, we had moved this to about 100,000 acres of cotton. And this year we are even doing more. We are also constructing more ginneries. We just had about 4 or 5 that were functioning. By the end of this year, we will be taking this to about 10 ginneries. You know that our biggest textile factory, the Rivertex East Africa Limited, that has been underperforming, has been advertised for leasing. So we have received about 5 international companies that want to take over Rivertex East Africa to run it, and we do hope that then we can create better backward linkages in this system. In the leather sector, Kenya has taken bold steps in doing this. We already have completed the leather value chain policy, and also we are currently developing a strategy for the processing of hides, skins and leather products in collaboration with the African Leather and Leather Products Institute. And this strategy aims to strengthen the entire leather value chain from raw material production to high-end development of finished products. Regionally, we are also happy to be associated, and we just launched the COMESA Leather Strategy 2024-2034, and this strategy creates a good framework for upgrading our production, enhancing our quality standards, and boosting intra-regional trade within the ESC, COMESA, and SADC. So this, again, gives us a very good opportunity. You also know that the Kenya government has completed construction of the Kenani Leather Park that is ready. Currently, we already started onboarding some of the investors, so we have a number that have already shown interest, and so we are moving in that direction. Also working with Equity Bank that are not here. They have availed a loan facility of up to 200 billion Kenya shillings to support value addition and manufacturing within the leather sector. So this is really coming up well for us. In terms of markets, you know that we are already very well integrated, the ESC and the AFTA, and we just concluded the Kenya-EU Economic Partnership Agreement, and we really want to thank Skander and his team, because sometimes the completion of these agreements is one thing, creating value and really integrating these markets takes time because of cultural differences, skills, standards, regulations, and so on. So this kind of exhibitions open windows to opportunities where we have signed some of these agreements with the EU. You know that we already have the Kenya-UK Economic Partnership Agreement. We have also signed the Kenya-UAE, United Arab Emirates Economic Partnership Agreement. We are at a very tail end of completing the Kenya-US Strategic Investment and Partnership Agreement, and next week the team from the US will be here so that we can take the roadmap. We want to conclude that discussion very quickly so that we can really take advantage of some of these ideas and markets. And so in terms of industrial space, you're already aware that we've been talking about Dongo Kundu for a long time at Naivasha. About 2 months ago, the Kenya government has signed an agreement with Arise, a team that is already doing a lot of textile work in West Africa. And currently we've given them an opportunity to build industrial sheds, build, operate, and transfer. So they are building nearly 400 industrial sheds in Mombasa and another 400 sheds in Naivasha, all connected to the SGR. And this should be completed in the next 2 years, and we do hope that then we can grow that space even more. And so we are really glad. In conclusion, we want to say that to the designers, to the entrepreneurs, to the manufacturers and policymakers that are here today, I want to tell you that Kenya and Africa is ready for investment. That Africa Sourcing and Fashion Week 2025 is really your moment to make an impact, to make the right linkages, to create the right partnerships so that we can grow market, we can grow products, we can grow sourcing. I'm happy that Gatsby is here. I saw Sainsbury is here to try and look at some of the products that they can uptake from here. We appreciate your participation, in this event to look at opportunities that you can tap into. So let's build not just a fashion industry, but a movement of believers, one that celebrates our continent's talent, transforms our economies, and takes Africa from raw material exporter to a global trade center in this space. On behalf of the Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry and my CS, I want to affirm that our full support to you and to this initiative, and to declare this summit officially open. Thank you.
Another round of applause for the Principal Secretary, that is Dr. Juma Mukhwana. Thank you so much, sir. And some of the things to pick from that particular speech, it is let us build a fashion, let us build not just a fashion industry, but a movement. Now, from this particular